Hello from me, Lazarus. Welcome to the next lesson in the course on creating a website from scratch. Now we look at the additional lessons that remain from the CSS part. I've done lessons for the first 8 parts and the last 12, and I still have to do a few more practical lessons for these 3 chapters. Last time we started with chapter 9 and we looked at the first type of design, fixed dimensions, or fixed design. Now we move on to the next type, which we'll cover in this lesson. This is what is called elastic or fluid design. It arose because over time monitors with larger diagonals and extensions began to appear, and for them fixed width was no longer a suitable solution, because it remained a lot of space on the side. Then this type of design was developed, the elastic. In it, the widths of columns, and maybe all dimensions, are specified in percentages. To get a similar result as in the previous example using elastic design, we would change the code like this, so you see, we set the container to a width of 96%. We leave the height fixed. On the main block and on the aside sidebar, we set 70% for the main block and 30% for the aside bar. With this code, the distance from the side to the end of the browser will be less, because we've only left 2%. We can test it by smoothly changing the width of the browser and we will see that the ratio between the columns remains proportionally the same. If we want to keep exactly the ratio between columns in pixels, we can convert it to percentages using the old well-known formula, by dividing the width of the column by the width of its parent block. In our case, that would be 320/960, which is 0.33333, an infinite fraction. So from the resulting number we get the percentages by shifting 2 places to the right the decimal point, in English the point, and it becomes 33.33%, and for the right hand side it becomes 66.33%. If you want to be precise, don't round these numbers, at least to the 7/8 digit, when there are that many. The main disadvantage of this method is, that with a very large monitor width, the text, and especially the images, will violate their normal proportions, and as a whole the result will not be good. To avoid this, we add a restriction, through max width, that is, maximum width. For example, if we want to limit to 1200 pixels, the monitor I'm shooting on is 1280, then we need to write code like this, and this code is placed in the container block and the code in it looks like this. That's all we'll cover in this lesson.